I've meditated once. I watched a documentary, the CE5 thing, and I was like, I want to try to talk to aliens. And I had that intention for a lot of nights without even really realizing I'm setting an intention. I was just like, man, I really want to channel an alien. That'd be cool. And then I'm just laying in bed one night, not even in the twilight zone. I'm actively watching TV, and I just kind of go away. Like when you meditate and maybe my eyes were still open, but I was gone.
And now for something completely different.
In a world where everyone seems to have the answers, two people ask questions. Welcome to the Woo Woo Crew.
We've hit the button and we are back.
We've hit the button. It's only been like forever.
It does feel like it's been quite a little while.
Quite a little while.
We had a little podcast right just after the hurricane that I had down here, and it's been a few weeks since then.
I know. It's been way too long. It's been too much.
Well, we're here now, and apparently so are the aliens.
Okay, weird. What? Okay, fuck off. That's a weird synchronicity. Because I was going to get on and be like, hey, today we should talk about, like, something specific, like, I don't know, aliens. Why are you bringing up aliens?
Because they're here.
Did you see them? What happened? Did I miss something on the news? Did they...
No, I mean, there was some scubbub. There was some scubbub on the interwebs about, I guess there's some dude back in the late 90s or something that created an algorithm, and it made like a bunch of predictions. And one of the predictions that it made, well, a lot of them apparently came true. One of the predictions it made was that Joe Rogan would be interviewing Donald Trump.
Shut up.
And this was back when he was exiting the Fear Factor, and Donald Trump was
up. Okay, I was about to say, like, I could have made that one, but this is like a long time ago.
Right. It was like before that was even like a thought, right? And then it said that 39 days after that, that there would be UFOs in the sky, like a warfare or some kind of thing.
Oh, good, perfect.
But that was yesterday, and there's all sorts of videos, on the internet that look like UFO videos, potentially credible UFO videos, but now with the AI, you just never know.
See, that's why I didn't even send them to you. That's why I didn't even send you those videos, because I feel like mine look so good that people are going to go fake. And I'm like, but then what do you want, people?
Okay, but here's the thing. That's different. I know the source.
True.
If you send me the video, then I'm going to be like, okay, there it is,
That's true. It's going to mess your head up. I only watched it once after I taped it. What am I, 1,000?
When was this?
We were this was like 4 months ago. Where were we? We were out of town.
Did we talk about this?
We talked about it, and I didn't send it to you because I got scared. I saw that it was like that one and another UFO one was specifically saved into my drive, which I never did. So I was like,
Well,
and it's such a weird thing when you see the video that your brain's like, no, thank you.
Yeah, no, I get that. But yeah, send it.
Okay. No, I will.
As I was saying, I'm open to the idea of aliens and UFOs and UAPs. The government's talking about it. Clearly something is happening. But let's look at this and see what's going on. My first thought was, is this thing moving? Is it staying still? Is it staying in the exact same space? I need more clarity on what's going on here. But look at that. That is weird. That's some weird lights going on. Could it be a drone? What kind of drone makes those kind of lights? She likes to zoom in and zoom out a lot. So we got that going on for us here. Perhaps trying to show, hey, this is a real thing. I don't know. There's a part of this there. That's weird, right? You could say, was that like there again? Hold on. Look at that. It's getting off the screen there. There we go. It's a little weird, right? And then it all of a sudden is doing light again. Look at that thing. Okay, so yeah, I'd say that there's something to this, right? Something. And we had another podcast where there was another video that I uploaded that was also pretty cool, different. It was doing, see, it disappears. It disappeared there. Is it focus? Could it be focus? I don't know, man. But this is not normal stuff, and we're not living in normal times, and that's okay.
I was just mad because it's one of those things. Okay, like last night, when you witness something really insane and our human need for validation, like, are you seeing this shit? Like to make sure we're
Mm-hmm.
seeing it. So I almost get mad now when really cool shit happens and I'm alone because it's like, really, last night we were both in the bathroom. I totally thought that he was looking, so I didn't look at him to like signal. And I'm looking at this cup that had moved. I had accidentally hit it, but it moved a little in a normal amount, and then it rolled backwards, and I was like, okay. And then it went back to the other way, and then it rolled towards me, and I'm like, okay, we don't have foundation issues up here, so what the heck? And
Mm-hmm.
I look over at him in slow motion, waiting for him to be like, oh, and he was like meditating, and I was just like, what? Are you serious? You didn't see the? And he was like, what? And like, the cup moved. Well, now it sounds ridiculous, I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, well, the cup moved, and he's like, okay.
I don't know. Maybe somehow you're just, or we are all kind of like kept in a certain pattern, or not pattern, but like a filter or something to where uh, it doesn't overlap with someone
No, yeah,
who
I think
isn't ready to believe it yet.
there's some of that, but things like that, like a cup moving, I could also sense something in the bathroom at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So the minute that happened, I got really scared, which isn't normal for me. Usually I'd be like, oh, hello.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I don't say anything because if you don't know who it is, don't interact. But yeah, the cup's moving, and I felt that fear kick in because it's been a while since I've seen something happen. And I knew that I'd already felt energy in the bathroom where I was about to perform ritual, like do my dancing. So I was like, okay. And then I'm telling myself, like, don't be scared. Don't be scared. It's the cup. So I just kicked the cup away, and I'm like, it's fine. Everything's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was able to I didn't see anything or nothing crazy happen, but you can feel when like a yuck energy leaves, or like when someone's in a room and someone's
Yeah,
in the room, it's that feeling, and then they're
yeah,
gone.
yeah. And I'm with all that. I think that the thing with or like I'm on board with that being a potential whatever, right? But the thing with like the UFO thing, right, is that it's like in the news too. There's certain
I
things that
know,
are
but
not
it's
in the
just
news,
funny.
like
I'm
that.
like, this has been.
Like that thing I was bringing up before, I don't think that's actually been in the news. However, there has been reports of drone swarms, at different military bases. And the thing that I heard was like, if it was any kind of hobbyist drone, as soon as it crosses into the air,
You can't
whatever,
even go
it's
into an
going to shut it
airport
down. It's going to shut
airspace,
it down. It's not going to go anywhere. But
or they'll shoot it down.
that being said, we could say safely that there's definitely more advanced technology that like governments and maybe even outfits above governments have access to that we're not aware of yet,
Well,
that
of
potentially
course.
could blow our mind and maybe could, whatever. But it just seems like it's a lot. So, I
But
don't
the
know.
government told us aliens are real. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't need the government to tell us anything to believe anything. I hope everyone knows that,
Well, yeah, but that
because they're
helps.
the biggest liars of all.
It
But
really
yes,
helps bring out the ability to like talk about the shit though.
you're right, because when we went to Chaco Canyon, we went out of town to do the Chaco Canyon thing, which was amazing.
Mhm.
Um, just the night sky was insane, absolutely insane. It was like an international dark sky park, and so because it's so dark, you can see the Milky Way perfectly, and it's so many UAPs. And I love that now it's like a UAP because they lied about UFOs for so long. They're like, well, they're dumb. Let's just change the name and they'll think we weren't lying the whole time. And I really do think that the
Well, it's
lie.
also kind of like a rebranding.
Oh, yeah, the government's really good at that. But I understand that I don't think that it's as simple as like aliens come and visit. I don't think that's how it always works. I think it's really rare that it works that way. I think it's more of a dimensional thing, and that's why they don't want to try to explain it to people, because that's when everyone's going to go, "What the fuck?" Because
Mhm.
it's not just like aliens exist, because it's statistically impossible for them not to. But to be like they exist and they come in and out, like the reason that you see a UFO show up and then go away is it's going in and out of a portal of a dimension to another universe. Okay. That's when everyone's like, what the fuck? So, that's when you're messing with people's religious ideas, their entire nature of reality. And so I get why they lied. I get it.
Well, so something else I listened to recently. This guy, I'm drawing a blank on his name, but I like the way he talks about metaphysical
I
stuff.
like the way he moves.
I like the way he moves with his words about metaphysical shit. But he went to. Have you heard of a place called the Monroe Institute?
I have.
Right, and they do a lot of different stuff that's testing in the areas of,
Yes.
right. And so he got to go there. This guy, he's a content creator,
Uh-huh.
and he was talking about, like, based on what he's learned in those experiences, the government is using the UFOs to, like, kind of like instill fear and get us scared about UFOs, right? Oh, there's a UFO war or some shit. But, like, what he's saying is what they learned there is that no, they are an extension of us, and that really, we have the ability to consciously call on them, like that Chris Bledsoe dude in the Skinwalker or Beyond Skinwalker Ranch episode. They took, like, real deal technology out there and not only measured the sky, like, with proper equipment, but also his brain waves.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he fucking did it, right? And so that's what he's saying is, like, they're trying to keep us distracted from, like, what's really going on is that, like, this all intertwines with our thoughts and collective thoughts and individual thoughts and all the things.
The biggest thing since the patriarchy came to be and the matriarchy went away is the Roman Catholics, that the Vatican was like, look, y'all can have science. We're going to take over that spirituality thing because it's power. It is nothing but full-blown, unadulterated power that every single one of us have. You can heal people from a distance. You can harm people from a distance. We all have this capability. Some of us, I look at psychic abilities like sports. So some people are better at soccer or football or this or that, and some people suck altogether, but doesn't mean they still can't do it. That is how I see psychic. It's just all of magic is science that we just don't know how to explain yet. That's how I perceive it. And so it's just, you literally, I've meditated once. I watched a documentary, the CE5 thing, and I was like, I want to try to talk to aliens. And I had that intention for a lot of nights without even really realizing I'm setting an intention. I was just like, man, I really want to channel an alien. That'd be cool. And then I'm just laying in bed one night, not even in the Twilight Zone. I'm actively watching TV, and I just kind of go away. Like when you meditate and maybe my eyes were still open, but I was gone. And I'm seeing, because I had a thought and I was like, what happens when you say thank you? Like, what happens when you're grateful? And it was just like, boom, and like this picture's in my head, and I can see like a cartoon mouth that opens and says thank you, and like a cartoon bubble comes out, and there's this neon pink spider web looking thing, which is the universe. And they show me how it hits the line and it goes down, and it showed like my in-laws and then my mom, and it showed everyone and how it came back to me. And then I was on another planet, and this was all within seconds, but it was so real. It was like so real, as if it was happening with, like, right now.
This was like a lucid kind of dream in a waking state from meditation kind of thing.
No, I was watching TV and my eyes were open, and then I saw this with my third eye in my mind. I wasn't even asleep. I wasn't even trying to go to sleep.
So, like, what you were seeing shifted abruptly?
Really abruptly. That's the only time that's ever happened, aside from, like...
When was this?
Precognition. Like a year ago? I have no concept of time. I have math dyslexia.
Does this correlate with the UFOs somehow? This is a super cool thing, but does it tie into the UFOs somehow?
Yeah, I've seen the UFOs my entire life, but I was able to actually, so I channeled a alien prior to this, and it wasn't a whole long one. This one I was in full meditation, and I'm just meditating regularly, and all of a sudden I'm in a spaceship, and I was really embarrassed because two aliens look at me like, again, seriously, like, and you could feel that from them, like, ugh. And one of them, like, and everything's telepathic. No one moves their mouth. No one talks in other dimensions ever that I've experienced. It's always telepathy, and it doesn't seem weird in any way, which is also odd.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I guess I'm thinking like, oh, I'm in my head, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, excuse me. And then one of them like walks towards me and I'm immediately ushered out. I'm outside of the spaceship. I'm not in there anymore. I don't know where I am, but um, he says, my name is Raynok. And it was like, the way I spelled it was Raynok, Raynok. Googled the shit out of it, couldn't find anything except on one video game. And he showed me like from here up. It was like he gave me, because I'm asking questions in my head and, like, what is this? What's happening? What are you? So he like pans out and gives me a shot, like a bust from here, and then like turns to the side. So as soon as I come out of the meditation, I sketch him and I write his name on there and date it really fast. And that was all I got, because I didn't think to ask questions about the universe or anything. I was just like, oh my God, I'm so sorry that I was on your spaceship for a second. And he acted like, oh my God, another one.
When you were it sounded like you were saying you were setting intention to.
I had
but,
previously.
But then you started talking about the experience where you all of a sudden started seeing something different, where you're.
Yeah, that one was crazy.
So do you think that, like,
I think that was
because you started setting intention that came and somehow is correlated?
I think so, because for a while after I had done the channel with Raynok, I wasn't able to channel him again specifically to my knowledge. If I did channel, a lot of times it doesn't occur to me to say, who's this? I just channel and write down whatever I get. But I felt inherently that I was being watched, like looked over, or not like protected, not like we're gonna watch her because she's so important and we need to protect her, not like that, but I knew they were around. Like you can feel.
What, if you don't mind, can you describe what you saw again when you were sitting there watching TV and then all of a sudden your whole experience changed? Can you describe that again one more time?
So I don't want to lie and say that I know 100% that my eyes were open when it happened. Like
okay.
they were open when it happened, but I may have closed them to.
Yeah. Sure.
Keep going, I guess.
But
I don't know.
The point is, you were consciously awake,
100% conscious.
You were engaged with your show.
Yeah, I was just watching my show, and that was what was so trippy, and it's never happened since like that. But I just had a thought. I'm like watching the show and I'm like, I wonder what happens when you say thank you, like when you're grateful. And then that's what it showed me. Basically, like when you do that, you're sending something into the universe that goes and touches not only yourself, everyone you know, but everything in the universe.
Was it like you morphed into, were you in a classroom and you're watching a screen?
I couldn't see myself at all.
It was more like you were,
so like,
you were awareness traveling through this.
Yeah. Because I couldn't like see my body. I couldn't. It was like I was watching a movie that was inside,
fully immersive, three like whatever, wrap
like
around.
VR, because I was looking around like, holy shit.
Yeah. Okay, and you basically just saw like how everything was connected.
Yeah, they showed it to me. I loved how they made it like super cartoonish. I was like, well, I mean, I can get it. But it was really cool because it was like a web, like a spider web, and the web of life, the web, how it touches. Everything is connected. Do you recall anything
that, like, in your experience there, that seems like it could tie into the UAP or extraterrestrial kind of
I think
concept?
That was contact, and they were showing me, like, when you're grateful, this is what you can do, so keep doing that.
Yeah.
They didn't say that, but that's just, like, that was my takeaway.
You were setting intention, and then it was kind of like, it could be an opening door that they showed you, hey, and then later you had the.
I don't want to get hung up on the whole intention thing. That I think that like I said it, but okay. So I had watched the CE5 documentary, and that was when I was like, I want to try to talk to aliens. That's when the intention was set. But every night I wasn't like aliens. It wasn't like that, like I wasn't trying my hardest. Mm-hmm. But I really, I thought it would be cool. Yeah. But when it did happen, the first one with Raynok, that was just in meditation. I didn't get like information or anything, but it was really dope that it was nice of him to like show me what he looked like, and he like did the side view and stuff. I just thought it was really funny because he was like, oh my God, like another one, like these fucking yogis don't stop. Yeah. And that was, I just was tickled by that. I thought that was funny how they were like, oh my God. And then, but the other one, because there's been so many things that have happened with UFOs. I've seen countless at this point. I've
Well,
tried to
you
get,
did share. You shared one, if you recall, the one video you shared, and I put that on one of our. I don't know which episode it was, but I put it in
yes,
there. And yeah, and a matter of fact, I saw another video. I don't. I think it was on Instagram of a UFO, and the guy was painting the video. He goes, I'm not someone who does this sort of shit, but real quick, look, that's a plane. That's a fucking something something. What the fuck is that? And it turned and it went over to the other thing, and it was the same kind of thing that you had, where it was like this fucking like
an
snake
oscillating.
looking fucking
Yeah.
thing.
So when it was moving, it looked like a snake thing. But otherwise, the ones that I saw one 2 nights ago, and I just kind of smiled because I was like, I want to get the camera out, but what's the point? Just because with, like you said, with
Sharing with
AI,
me is the point.
okay, then I will. Because otherwise, I'm like, everyone's gonna be like, fake news. And you're like, okay, well,
That's okay.
you
Bring it over
asked
here.
for proof, you fucks. And I give it to you, and then you're like,
Bring
it's
it over
fake.
here. You know what? I think that if anything, people can recognize that like we aren't over here trying to, fill people with bullshit.
No. I
So,
think every single thing that comes out of my mouth, no
and
one
if
should
and
just
if you
believe
share a
it.
video with me, and I look at it, I'll still upload it in this case. But if you share a
Mhm.
video with me and I look at it, I'm like, I don't know, this is nothing.
Well, yeah,
Then
like I would want
I
someone
would
to,
upload it and be like, in my opinion, I don't see shit here, but Heather,
right.
go ahead. But
Yeah. And like that's okay. So, and that does, I always try to do a logical, like, I'm not some
I know,
twit.
I know.
So like my first thought is because first of all, no matter how long you do this stuff, it can be a little like whoop when it's out of nowhere. It's kind of a little frightening, and so
Yeah.
your brain wants to go, oh, that's just naturally what I do, and so
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, and a lot of times I'm like, oh, it was the wind that blew the cup. It was the this. It was that. Whatever.
Hmm.
But with the whole intention, when you brought up the thought thing, I do believe that if you have set an intention at some point and everything is connected, it goes out there, and depending on what it is that you want, like they can make contact with you if you want to.
Hmm.
And I don't think people should be afraid of it. You should never be afraid when trying to make contact at all. If you are, don't, because
Yeah.
you're bringing in a lower vibrational energy. But you do need to have a pretty high vibration for contact with them. That's maybe why I haven't talked to them in forever,
Hmm.
because it's almost like overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah.
um
All right.
their
So
energy, I
I
don't
think
know.
that from what I've heard, that there's also quote unquote evil extraterrestrials or
This is,
whatever
yeah, and
stuff.
granted, since I haven't been out there and seen anyone squabbling, I can't get on board with that. But if I, because people are like, I watch Gaia and these people say there's like 6 races. I'm like, how you know that? How do you know that? How do you know how many races of aliens there are? I'm not saying that they are not telling the truth or don't know, but I'm
Mhm.
curious. How do you know that? How do you know about the Intergalactic Federation? Have you been there? So it's just all that is up in the air for me because I haven't personally experienced it. So I
Yeah.
don't know if there's good aliens and bad aliens. I don't know if it works like that. We created good and bad. Good and
Well, I
bad
was
isn't
just
real.
thinking
It doesn't
like
exist.
I was
That's a
just thinking
human.
because someone else, I don't know where this was talked about too, but in the spiritual world, just in general,
Mm-hmm.
that there's also quote unquote evil entities or whatever. And I'm not saying that that doesn't exist. I do believe that no matter what, that the overwhelming winner is the power of love, because that's what transmutes or
There it
what.
is. So I think that everything is energy. Well, science, everything is energy. So everything is energy, and everything has its own amount of power. So the way that I look at it is some things are more powerful than others. Some places, so okay, Chaco Canyon, for instance, there's Native Americans that won't set foot on that land.
Mm-hmm.
I got relics. I'm kidding, I didn't. You're not supposed to. And they're like, we're going to get you. And I'm like, it was mine. But like dope stuff. I'll send you pictures. Anyways, and I asked first because I was like, I'm not trying to have any curses. There's nothing on me. And but we were good. And then I had this beautiful moment with ravens and I cried. It was the whole thing.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was so awesome. But it was really cool because I'm telling this to Chris before we went on the trip. And he was like, well, I just think it's a really powerful place, and either you choose if that's a scary power or a good power. And I was like he blew my mind because it applies to everything spiritual as I understand it. Because I don't believe in good and evil. We made that up. I
Mhm.
do believe that there are entities. I don't like the word belief, but I think that there are entities that feed on lower vibration.
Mhm.
The tiger isn't evil because it eats the gazelle. It's just doing what it does. So I think that those entities that feed on lower vibrational energy, anger, fear, etc., they might try to get you to feel those things a little bit more, but you're already doing it. You're not
Mhm.
like completely out of control. We always have a choice to choose love,
Yeah.
and they can't eat that. So then they're just like, well, fuck it. And they're out.
Yeah.
Now, that's only my understanding to date, because what about like people's houses that, okay, like they have like documentation of poltergeist crazy scratches. I think that's spirit. I think that's like ghosts that are just, if you were a dick in real life, you're probably going to be a dick in the afterlife. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I don't personally believe in the devil or hell. So it's
Right.
difficult for my brain to understand. I know that entities can do frightening things, but I just think it's important to not go into the supernatural expecting it or assuming it. When
Mhm.
you go into it, don't be silly either. Be protected, call upon your guides for protection. But
Well, I think like in generally speaking, if you just listen to your senses, right? So if you go into a house,
yes,
if you walk into a house and you're like, something feels fucked up in here, then
yes,
like just leave,
your body will get chills and you're not sure
Yeah.
why. Mm-hmm.
And there is something to be said for if you're hyper prone to being freaked out, then you could be like, well, I guess I can't go anywhere, but
Oh, for sure. Because
you have
fight
to
or
have some
flight
kind
can
of
trick
level of
you.
like if you have that ability to go, yeah, something's fucking different here, then just leave that place.
And
But aside
usually
from
it's
that,
not even in here. It's in your tum tum. And
yeah.
our family calls it the no nos. If you get that feeling where you're like, I don't think I should be, then don't. Then don't. And I can't tell you how many times it's probably saved our lives. I'm like, even my son, we've been at the park at night once and he was like, nope.
Yeah.
I mean, he just dead stopped. And I was like, cool.
Yeah.
And let's
It's
go.
it's for me it's always deciphering between, is that intuition or is it some kind of
The
conditioned
minute that
mechanism
you
of thought?
ask the question, your brain is in control. So if you have to ask, that came from your tummy.
Hmm.
Because your stomach doesn't analyze, your brain does. Your
Mhm.
stomach will have the feeling of this is weird, and then your brain's like, okay, but is it really? Yeah, it is, because my stomach said it is, so it's weird, and let's dip. But
Mhm.
if it comes from your mind, if you think first like, oh, I don't know if I should do this, and then you get like bubble guts because you're nervous, that
Mhm.
started up here.
Hmm.
This
Hmm.
is just an organ that needs to be told what to do. We shouldn't be told what to do
Well,
by it.
I mean, because I think about like how the central nervous system can respond to an external whatever, and that can feel like the body can feel like so. But there's a difference between the feeling from the gut and a feeling that emerges from the body, or maybe they're,
It
you
could
know,
be anywhere in the body as long as it's not the brain.
yeah.
Because the brain can lie to you. We lie to ourselves
But
all
I
the
mean,
time.
but our central nervous system can be conditioned to be fear, to respond fearfully due to various external stimuli.
Not our nervous system, but our wiring. Yeah, like our just the programming. But your central nervous system is just electricity. It doesn't have that's just the motherboard. Like it's like your cells, your organs, your tissue, every cell holds memory. That is where so the organs are a big one on as far as like holding memory or having something where it's like, oh no, I've experienced this before, so that fear is going to come up and that fight or flight will kick in.
Yeah, like so the way that I understand it is like, so say you're a kid and you have a memory with your father, and it's not a happy memory, and
Mm-hmm.
then your mind, you're like fucking whatever, right? Whatever story the mind has.
Yeah.
And then but now the body is also like, yeah, that's not good, right? And so then
Right.
in the future, when an external stimuli happens that's similar to that, the body can respond
Exactly the
because of
same.
that. right?
100%
And so
trauma.
that's where I draw the disconnect, because depending on
Okay.
if someone has a lot of rampant shit still down there that
Yeah.
they haven't worked through, right?
Yep.
And they go and they might always be getting triggered with feelings. And so then
Oh,
it's like, how do we decipher, and I think that
I
there's
love
nuance
that.
to it. There's nuance
Yeah.
to it. And you can I think that the
100%.
more that you clear out this shit, the easier it is to tell.
Easier,
But for
but
a
dang,
lot
it's
of
still
people,
hard. Like, it's hard for me still. Sometimes I don't know. I'm like, until later, I'm like, oh, girl, you got triggered hard. Like you just projected on your kid.
so
So,
are you saying you'll think that it's like a gut impulse of some form, and then later you'll be like, well, wait a minute, that was actually more a response, a trigger response?
yeah, like, I don't know why. I guess every day maybe it was part of the recovery that I don't know, but I kind of like, I'll go over the day, like, where did we fuck it? Where could we improve? And just kind of like scanning. And I'll notice, like if I was snapped at someone and I'm like, well, fuck. And the old me would just use it as ammunition to beat myself up for the rest of the night. But so instead, what I'm doing is like reviewing and like, okay, well, where did that come from? And then I ask myself questions. And if I'm not getting an answer, I do it out loud. It's the only way that I can actually because your body physically does not like to lie. This is how
Mm-hmm.
people can be trained to detect lies because your body rejects it. So you either sweat or you fidget or you have a tell. So when you ask yourself a question out loud, am I making this decision out of fear of past experience, or is there danger in front of me right now that I need to be protected from? And then respond out loud to yourself, because you
Mm-hmm.
can't lie to yourself. You'll know if you are. You'll
Well,
be like,
I
well,
will say that, like, I now can attest to there's something to that, right? Like, someone calls it, I think Angel, my friend, calls it muscle testing or some shit. I don't know. There's some term she calls, like, her version of that or whatever. But
yeah.
basically, like, saying a thing, like, she said, if I say I am Timothy and I'm really calmed and centered and stuff,
Oh, that's the
I'm gonna
emotion code. Yeah, there's a book on
I'm
that.
gonna feel that, like, there's something off, because I'm Phil, I'm not Timothy.
Right, so that's muscle testing. And the
There you
book,
go.
The Emotion Code, he taught how you can like push to get a response on. So it's badass, but your body does physically react to a lie, whether you're consciously aware of it or not. And that's why muscle testing is dope, because you could be like, am I lying to myself? And you won't even know, and then it, may respond yes. So it's the same thing when we have to. So a brain, like a lie, is the most sophisticated thing that our brain can do. It's having to do something our body physically doesn't like within nanoseconds. It has to come up with a whole story and keep a straight face and not look like you're telling a lie. So
Mhm.
it's really sophisticated. It's a really sophisticated thing for our brain to have to do, and it takes a lot for it to do it. And when you ask yourself a question out loud instead of just thinking, it's a lot more difficult to think about something else or to lie to yourself.
Yeah.
Because when you say it out loud, your body's going to start rejecting it, and you'll know good and well. You'll be like, shit.
So yeah, I'm with that, and I do think that for a lot of people this works. I just think that there is also a camp of people who, like a historical version of myself, were so numb to feelings, just in general, that
we,
I don't think I could do it back then.
you
You
could,
know,
you could,
I
you'd be
don't think so.
surprised, because we can't numb feelings. Like we can if we're on things, but even if we're ignoring it, feelings are still there. And
So
the
I, you
feeling
know,
is basically just, you're lying. That's
I
all it
know that we
is.
all have, like, different trauma that we go through, but the trauma, my flavor of trauma that I went through growing up, created massive walls around anybody being able to have access to me feeling stuff. And I also, in these walls, was massive resistance to any kind of spiritual woo woo talk nonsense, right? And I could not tell you a feeling in me. Like, it was more like
Yep, I know
I
what you're
was just in
saying.
this fucking days autopilot nothingness.
Yeah,
So
because
I do not believe that for everybody they can sense it that easily.
I think
I
everyone,
think for
no,
a
not
lot of people
easily, but
you have to cultivate it. You have to get rid of,
maybe. Yeah.
do
And
some
that's
alchemy, and
absolutely, but I think you wouldn't even ask the question in that place. So,
that's fair. That's fair.
like,
But
because I wouldn't have, I'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I would have thought it was absolutely ridiculous.
Well,
Like,
I mean, but at the same time, like someone that becomes, like, say they first become interested in a potential spiritual path or some shit, and maybe they stumble upon this episode, right?
right? Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, you know what? Maybe I could try that. And then they go to try it, and then they're asking questions back and forth. Well, is it this feeling? Is it that feeling? I don't know. What was it? I don't fucking know what that was. And they start going this back and forth in their head, and they don't really get anywhere because everything's all rattled up, and they're not in a space to where they can actually feel feelings. You
You
know.
don't have to feel anything. You're talking. You're just talking to yourself. You don't need to feel anything. You're just asking yourself questions.
I'm kind of tying this all into the whole gut notion thing,
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
going with your gut feeling.
Right, right, right.
You
That's
know?
biological. I mean, even when we're being looked at, our skin, our epidermis reacts to it without us knowing.
Yeah.
So we'll get like, and that's whenever you do this and you look
I
around.
just think that when your narrative is so heavily conditioned, think about a version of yourself from 10 years ago.
No, I see
It's
what you're
really
saying.
challenging to
If
see.
you're already, yeah, when you're convinced that you already know everything, no one's going to change that. And I was the same way. Like I didn't think, I thought it was all stupid and woo woo ridiculousness. That was my belief. So ain't nobody was going to change it. So I wouldn't ask the questions in the first place because I thought it was stupid. Like it's just, but it doesn't mean it wouldn't have worked. But I also don't know. Maybe it wouldn't have because, again, like I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have. I
Yeah,
still had gut
I'm
feelings
saying,
back then,
like,
though.
depending on the person, how accurate is your gut shot thought or opinion in any varying situation? In one,
Any person,
it may
your
be
gut is
more
always right.
accurate. In one area, it may be more accurate for one person, but in another area, it may not be as accurate, right?
The
Depending
brain is
on.
never going to be the accurate one, ever. Because of the knowledge we have,
But I'm
everything we know
saying
is a lie.
an individual being able to decipher when
Hmm.
they have what
The
they
difference.
feel is a gut shot reaction, being
Yeah.
able to decipher, one, is it that? And two, do I even believe it or is it not real? Like there's all the second guessing, the negative
We
narrative
don't trust
going on,
ourselves.
so it's, I don't know. I just think that
I feel that. Like
there's multi levels to this shit,
well, yeah,
I think.
yeah, for sure. There's multi levels to everything, but there's also just a standard, and we either choose to believe it or we choose not to. We're either confident that we're not confident, or it's like how can you be both? But we don't look
Yeah.
at it that way. We only see our programming. That's all we know. But gut feelings are designed literally,
Yeah, it's
biologically,
it's a thing. I think that gut feelings are a thing, and that it's written into the whole experience for a reason,
just to stay
right?
alive. Yeah, yeah.
But
That's where it
the
comes in to be
question is,
hard.
I think,
Yeah.
from my perspective, the question is, on a random with a random individual,
Hmm.
are they able to actually
Tell
clearly
the difference.
feel, and are they able to actually tell the difference? Are they able to actually clearly feel it and tell the difference?
I think,
Et
yes,
cetera.
everyone can. Okay, because here's an example. So, this is someone who has no spiritual anything. This is like someone that a friend of a family member, so a coworker of hers. And so I had to be like very light. And when I'm not sure, like, oh, do they know I'm a shaman? I kind of just
Hmm.
stay light on the topic. But she was asking about the sound baths and distance healings. And she tells me this story. And I'm like, oh, my God. So she had taken her son to get swim lessons, and they're at the place. It's just after school, you're running around busy, busy. But she was getting this weird feeling in her stomach, and she kept having the thought, you need to go home. You need to go home, which wasn't a thought. It was her something telling her that.
Hmm.
But it doesn't ever feel like that. It seems like a thought, and you're like, and you just keep dismissing it. So her kid's literally in the pool. She snatches her son out of the pool, goes because it won't stop. And she's like, well, fuck. So she goes into the locker room. They change. She gets home. Her husband is hanging in the garage, and she is able to get him down, and he survived.
Hmm.
So, and she has never had any spiritual, mystical experience before in her life. I think if it's necessary for whatever reason, you'll know. Like if your tummy is, if your whatever is trying to help you survive or save someone, like it becomes almost, I mean, I was yelled at, get out once. And this is before any of this shit started. And I was like, the
Yeah, I remember
fuck?
we talked
Yeah,
about it before. That was a little bit different, right? Yeah, yeah.
that was so
Well, it's not
weird.
different.
But
It's
it
the same kind
started
of
with
thing
just
because
tummy feelings.
it started off as it was coming from that place, but you were like, whatever. you know,
No,
and
it's at first it was just
they
the
got
looking around. At first it was just the tummy where I was like, huh. But you don't overthink it because I'm just fishing. And then I look around and I'm like, I'm trying to be proactive. Like, I don't want to be dumb. It's dark at night at the park. So I'm looking. But was I being watched? I don't know. Because
Mhm.
I think in hindsight that I was looking because it was dark. But what if I was looking because I was already being watched? So
Mhm.
it's that stuff, like, I'll never know. But man, it was just really cool because this woman had no reference, no reference to anything woo woo, and literally saved her fucking husband's life because something
Mhm.
kept saying, go home. And to
Yeah.
listen to it when you're in the middle of swim practice and not ignore it, it's just really interesting. And I say that only because she had never, it wasn't like someone who meditated every day. And so I think I get what you're saying because when you're like, okay, am I making this decision from like legit fear or from past experience?
Mhm.
Because our body releases the same chemical if it's trauma, and that's when it's difficult to tell. And I agree. I think it just takes the time of getting to know yourself
Right. That's what I feel too, right? Like the deeper you go
because
with
we can
your
lie to
own
ourselves so easily.
the deeper you go with your own introspection journey,
Yeah.
the more you're calming and softening all these like flare ups that have been there for so long. So it's easier to hear,
Note. Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Oh my gosh. Yeah, because it'll feel because that reacts. I mean, as soon as you're triggered, the same chemicals get released. So your body doesn't have time to even be
Hmm.
like, oh no. I mean, it's already like happening and you're in it.
Yeah.
And that's where I would use the brain training to get that 1 or 2 extra seconds so that I can respond instead of react,
Hmm.
which
Yeah. Yeah.
was usually with ugly anger towards
Yeah. Yeah.
whoever was in the line of fire.
Right. Right. Well, to bring it back to the alien thing real quick, before we wrap up
Yeah.
today. So this is in the realm of like our thoughts and like spirituals and are they good spirits and bad spirits. I
Yeah.
think that might be a potential disconnect for someone thinking about calling them, because if it is vibration related, and say it's just someone who maybe they're not in a good space and their vibe is like not where you want to be, but they're like, oh, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna go call an alien. Are they gonna call one of the bad aliens maybe, or
I
is it?
know. And see, that messed me up because I was watching Gaia and they were doing this whole, I mean, they talk about it all the time about the good ones. And as soon as she said that, I haven't channeled since because it got in my head and I was like, are there bad aliens? So that's why it's like, oh, knowledge sucks, but it's so necessary. So
Well,
it just comes down to like, one of those, you got to make the decision. I don't know. I haven't personally heard of anyone getting stabbed by a mean alien or
yeah.
anything.
Well,
Like,
my gut shot thought would be that if you are doing it with good intention, just in general, like you're not like let me see if I can get these fucking stupid aliens to come or some shit, and you're just
right.
fuck
Especially
right.
with spirit, because people do that. They'll like play with Ouija and act like it's not a big deal and they'll be disrespectful. And I'm like, you need to stop it or get out of my house because I'm not. Don't piss off the other side, which you can't see. But with the aliens, like, I completely agree. I just think it's like, I don't know. I feel like for you to be able to travel intergalactically and dimensionally, that you have to be more evolved than us, where there's not good and bad,
Yeah.
maybe. But I don't know. That could just be, I don't know.
Yeah, and any like what you were saying earlier, I think that any potential like the map that I see makes the most sense. Any potential evil
Hmm.
entity, alien energy, they're going to be feeding off of those that are in that space. They're not going to be trying to feed off of someone who, you
Well, no,
know,
because there's nothing to feed on. If you're not in that low vibration, there's nothing to feed on. They're not out there like just to get you or just to scare you. Like that's more the ghost realm. There's totally dickhead ghosts because they were dickheads in life. But that's why you don't just play with, willy nilly.
I wonder if they have podcasts on the other side.
I don't know.
Probably not.
I think you have everything. I think
That's
so.
true. Yeah.
I think it's like you create it at first. No one knows what happens on the other side.
Have you
But
ever
like,
seen The Good Place?
oh my god, me and my kids, we were obsessed with it for a hot
This is a
minute.
pretty funny show.
It's hilarious. She's like, what the fucking, or what the fork and fork?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What the fuck?
what the fork and fork? I almost peed my pants. I love her, and she's just That's like who I used to be. She was so jaded and pissed.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I watched it, I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to the good place."
Yeah.
That
The
ain't
way
real.
that the flashback of, I still remember the flashback of like the day she died and like how she
The
was acting
buggy,
with people. Yeah.
because she was such an asshole, but it's great
Yeah.
because she knows it. Like her eating that big old, she's eating the shrimp in the house. She's like, the shrimps. Damn it, I
I want
love
to
her.
watch that again now.
I
But I
know,
will say,
seriously.
towards at some point, I kind of lost interest in the show because it went on for a
No,
long
same,
time.
same. All of a sudden, like they couldn't come up with new ideas,
It
and we
wasn't.
just
It was like they
trailed.
were regurgitating kind
They
of deal.
were. Why
But
are we the same? I
but for,
literally stopped watching it because the same thing. I was like, okay, I went from laughing my ass off to now it's like, I get it. Are we in the
I
good
think
place
it's
or the
like
bad
what, maybe
place?
2 or 3 seasons
I
that
think
are
it
really
was two
really
or three, and
good.
I can't. I
Yeah.
don't think I watched the last
Yeah,
one.
but I think I want to start over from the beginning and watch it again because that's really
Yeah,
a
the first
really good
one
show.
is so good.
That's great. Hell yeah.
Dude, aliens, I love it. I'll send you, I have that video. If I just go through my phone, I have ridiculously weird
Well, if there's
videos.
ever a time to share it with our people, this is the one. This is the video right here.
Our people that we love, click subscribe and follow. Ting!
Yeah, that'd be great.
Or I'll get the aliens on you. The bad ones. Not really. Or really.
Well,
Boo doo doo doo. It's so frightening.
all right. Well, hey, do your thing.
Woo woo crew out.